Sometimes you get really good material and sometimes you get things which you think is incredible until you look at it the next morning and you're like, this is shit. What was I thinking? Sleep deprived idiot. What's up guys? I'm Winston from Parkway Drive. We're here at DIFFUS and we just talked about the future of the world. Parkway Drive coming back after the Apokalypse, our new album. Check it out. Hope you enjoy.
The quote, "I want beautiful melodies telling me terrible things," is written on your fridge. What does it mean to you?
I create by it, definitely. And I think the band creates by it to a degree as well. It's interesting because everyone always sees us and you're like, happy surfer boys. Like that's the way everyone always sees Parkway Drive, which is, it's true. But the art that we create, we know it's always been like, this is our darker outlet. Every time we try and make something which sounds too major key or too happy or anything like that, it just doesn't work for us. But we do like melody in what we do. It's always been about that balance between a darkness and a melodic nature coming together in different ways, either brutal or melancholic or atmospheric or anything like that. There's always that balance between the two, and that goes for the lyrics and the music as well. Like that's who Parkway is. It's the balance between the beauty and the darkness.
Is this balance also represented on your new album Darker Still?
100% in our new album. I think the new album is the best representation of that concept. It's the album where the heaviness and the brutality and the abrasiveness is at the furthest point away, like from the beauty, and the softer elements of Parkway, the two are the furthest apart. The journey is far greater than anything we've done before. And the melodies are far bigger and far more instantaneous and also more complex than anything we've done before. But at the same point in time, through making that, it's a darker record. It's a very dark record.
What is the concept behind the album?
So the album lyrically was written, every album is just a piece of our life. We just write music over a time, so you get a little bit of an insight. And the album was written around the concept of the journey of the dark night of the soul, which is the idea of being everything you have held as your life and your perception of yourself being destroyed, and then having to find yourself and rebuild a new you with a new perspective on the world. And that's what this album was written about, was about that journey and the view while that journey was going on. And of course it's happening. It's a very personal thing, but at the same point in time, this is being written while COVID is going on and the world, literally as you knew it, is gone. We're in a new place. It's a dark journey, but at the same point in time, it's not about negativity necessarily. It's about rediscovering your place, going through the darkness in a way to find somewhere which is reflective of the person you are, rather than it's about embodying the darker parts and not being afraid of them.
Which new facets of Parkway Drive can be found on the record?
Basically, we've pushed everything that we have ever had in our band to the extremes that we can in terms of something new. There's obviously a lot more melody involved. There's much more expansive concepts of songwriting. There's a lot more commitment to more experimental sounds, industrial sounds, symphonic sounds, a lot of the soundscapes, a lot more character in all of the vocals. There's a lot more to convey. We really wanted all of the music that we created to serve a purpose. There was no compromise in any of it. There's no retreading of old ground at all. Like the songs, we still have everything that you love. Like there's still big mosh parts, big anthemic parts, big melodies, big lead guitar. But the way that it is presented is far more dedicated and also well thought out than anything we've put together previously. Far more committed.
What is the meaning behind the title Darker Still?
It was a few phrases that I had written, and I felt that it represented very well where we were as a band and what this would be about. Because for the first few months we were just writing music. You don't know what it's going to be about. You don't know where you're at. It's generally like an album title for us is the last thing that we do. We create this album and then we're like, what is the reflection? But because this album was very precise and dedicated in its goal, like we wrote this album because we thought this might be the only album you ever get to write again. For all I know, COVID will go on for eternity. I will never play on a stage again in my life and we'll never be able to make another album. So what do you make out of that? At that point in time, it was the journey has been one of continuing through the darkness and understanding what that means, which is the journey. And I thought it just represented it quite well. And when I told the other guys, they were like, yep. which is like, it's cool that they could see that as well, because like the previous album was really, really dark as well. And for the idea of it to go further can be quite confronting, but that's what it is.
Did you put the song Darker Still in the middle of the record for a reason?
Very specifically. This album, like putting it in the center was quite specific. It's a statement. Like the song is probably one of the biggest musical statements we've made as a band in a very long time. Like it's the most far removed from the origin point of our band's career, in terms of the subtlety and the simplicity, but also the complexity of it. It's the longest song we've ever written. It's literally all clean singing. It's a very challenging song for us to write. So we wanted to put it in a place where it would shock. Like it would be something where you would reach that point in the album and you had to pay attention to it. It's not the song that you hide away at the end. It's not the epic closer to the album. It's literally the centerpiece. It's a statement of intent, and that's exactly what this album is in the first place. So that's why we wanted to put it there, because it deserved that attention and it deserved to drive the album in that direction, because from that point on in the album, it really is not what you would expect until the end. It's kind of, the album starts and then it sends you off the edge of the cliff on the journey, and that is definitely when you realize that there is a journey to the album.
Is the nighttime inspirational for you when writing lyrics?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's interesting when inspiration strikes. I don't know, the nighttime is an interesting one for writing songs for me, because sometimes I get genius. Sometimes I'm a genius. No, sometimes you get really good material, and sometimes you get things which you think is incredible until you look at it the next morning and you're like, this is shit, man, what was I thinking? Sleep deprived idiot. So yeah, it's I'm strange with my writing. I'm not quite sure where it comes from. Like I work a lot on the lyrics in general. Like a lot of work goes into it, but a lot of times I can remember the process of how I got to the final product, but I can't remember where or when I did it. Like I know that I was in a state where it was flowing out of me and it all made sense, and I know I have a process, but so much goes into it that once you're in the zone of linking all the words and the thoughts and the syllables and doing the counts and everything together, that I'm just there. And that can be like nighttime, working in my office, sitting out in the surf alone, driving in the car. Like I just have lists of it everywhere. As soon as something comes to me, I'm just like, throw it down, throw it down, throw it down, throw it down. And then sometimes it keeps going, and sometimes it's just like one piece and it stays and never gets touched again.
What are your plans for the time after the album has been released?
So the interview comes out right when we start our first tour. So the album is literally released, I think, the day of the first show. Yeah. The cat will be out of the bag of what has become of Parkway Drive. And hopefully people will be very excited to see what this means for the new era, because we see this next era as it's like the rebirth of this band, because honestly, we didn't know if anything was going to come back. We're trapped on an island on the other side of the world through all of this, just working on our art and hopefully one day getting to do it on stage again. So we have a show which we're going to be putting on stage with our first tour back. That's going to be really, really, really good to be able to play these songs with our old songs on a stage show and the biggest tour we've ever done. Like that's a pretty cool way to be able to come back. So we're very much looking forward to it.